Is the final boss music that plays when you fight King K. Rool enough to do an entire episode on? No? Fine. Donkey Kong. For years, his only hobbies were kidnapping, being kidnapped, and getting sprayed where the sun don't shine. But in 1994, Nintendo gave their new second-party developer Rareware the opportunity to reinvent the character, changing him from an oversized villain into a banana-hungry hero. But in a time where the platforming genre was hitting its peak and characters of all sorts were already fighting to be the best, how was a still mostly unknown company supposed to make its mark on the industry? The answer, it seems, was to change the rules completely and innovate the platforming genre by going directly back to its roots. This game seems to defy everything that came before it right from the moment you turn your Super Nintendo on. A withered old Cranky Kong stands on top of the original Donkey Kong's familiar red girders until the hip new Donkey Kong crashes in with a boombox, converting the landscape into the stunningly rendered jungles of this new adventure. Right away, this game lets you know that it has personality. The graphical style, in which 3D models are converted into lower resolution 2D sprites, was truly unique to the Super Nintendo, and Rareware was eager to show off what it could do. The graphics, however, are just the tip of the iceberg. The very first level starts with you blasting out of DK's treehouse and into a vibrant jungle world. But something weird is going on. Instead of an instantly recognizable theme song playing, as is the usual for platformers, there's just a soft drum beat, with crickets and birds chirping in the background. Instead of a simple chiptune riff, this game's soundtrack sounds as much like actual instruments as the Super Nintendo would allow, and slowly starts to build as you progress through that first level until you have the classic theme that we know today. It feels natural, atmospheric, and engrosses you in the game as you play it, with the gameplay doing everything it can to support this feeling. Rather than trying to outdo Mario and co directly, Donkey Kong Country gets its charm from keeping things simple and slowly expanding on these basics. Now, when we think of platformers, we generally think of crazy power-ups and immediate over-the-top level design. But the weird thing is, for the most part, Donkey Kong Country avoids that. In terms of power-ups, the player has to free Diddy Kong from a barrel to be able to take an extra hit before dying, rather than directly powering up Donkey Kong himself. It may seem like a small change, but it greatly impacts how the life bar of your character is represented to the player. You see every screw-up as fatal to someone, rather than just shrinking you down like Mario. Every jump feels like it matters. Furthermore, when it comes to the animal buddies, their existence as power-ups is far different from the average game. With few exceptions, the animal buddies are hidden or out of the way of the main path of a level, so that they need to be searched for and earned before you can use their extra abilities, rather than just coming across them and being able to blast through the rest of a stage. Furthermore, since the animals can't be taken from one level to the next, they act more as gimmicks for a level to have its bonuses designed around, rather than a persistent improvement to Donkey Kong. So where does this leave us? With a game that can focus solely on your control of your character and the rhythm and flow of platforming. The levels are realistic in both visuals and sound, and thus can instill a specific mood in the player, whether it be through a dark cavern or an escalating snowstorm. Once the mood of the level is established, the rest is up to the player. Unlike Mario or other platformers, DK is never bigger or smaller, never invincible or faster. He always controls the same. This means it is entirely on the player to master the rhythm of your jumps and slowly become better and better at the game's nuances. The slow-moving barrels of Barrel Cannon Canyon are just preparing you for the chaos of Treetop Town. No matter what gimmick the game throws at you, whether it be minecarts or invincible Kremlings, the game's focus is still on you being able to time your jumps and get to the end of the stage. As our gaming consoles get more and more advanced, it's important to remember what makes games important, what makes them special. The moments when graphics, sound, and level design all snap into place, complementing each other perfectly and turning a challenge into something cerebral. With their new art style, Rare could have gone overboard and made their game's mechanics as crazy and complicated as this new technology would allow. Instead, we got a game that simplified platforming down to what makes it fun in the first place, and let the music and visuals fill the entire game with a sense of atmosphere. And for not losing sight of the value of solid level design, coupled with a wonderful sense of control, I'd have to say that Donkey Kong Country is really freaking clever.